Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of our trade recap series. And let's take you through a trade which I took today, in which we profited around 1 to 1.3 restore reward. Let's dive straight into it, okay? So, if you look on the charts on NQ, our main liquidity sits at these key levels as we marked out before market open today. We have a key level up here, a normal level up here, and as usual, we had this liquidity level from yesterday, which is one of our main liquidity levels, and we also have a liquidity level, which is also main liquidity level down there. Market opened like right here. Let me just mark out where market opened. Market opened around there, so we're looking to the left of this line, and to make it more accurate on mine. There. Market open to the left of this line. So these are our liquidity levels, which we just marked out on the 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, maybe even daily. And those are the things which we marked out when we hopped on the charts today morning. And what we saw today was actually we had high impact news. And the high impact news we had today was US JOLTS. And made sure not to trade during 9 a.m. because 9 a.m. CST because we don't want to trade during high impact news. When we do our up to down analysis, we didn't see much, and our liquidity levels were our main confluences we could have went with before the market opened here today. When the market did open, we saw this splurge to the upside going until there, but we really didn't see much indication whether we're going to go down or up. So there was no entries to be made there, especially with JOLTS being just at 9, leaving us not much time to take other trades. So JOLTS was right here. This big down candle was JOLTS, and we did not take any trade from here to here because we don't want to trade 5 minutes before, 5 minutes after, and nothing presented itself here. But after JOLTS, what we saw happening was around 9 o'clock or 9:10, we started seeing expansion to the downside. And what that is we're just breaking structure to the downside. We broke this structure and we're heading down. So we see this expansion happen, and at Traders at V2, we try to capitalize on expansion, and we're trying to get a piece of the entire move. And we did exactly that. Here today on NQ, we did a V2 retracement play, which is simply using the Fibonacci tool in order to get area of interest in which we can take a trade. So this was our range started from there and ended out there before our trade. With our V2 level, which is just 0.5 level, was around here. And whenever we get close to that area, we're looking to see how price reacts after retracement. And also want to emphasize that we don't have to always touch 0.5 or 0.618 because although these give us more confidence, sometimes price doesn't always want to go all the way there, especially if you see some things in Bookmap or other resources. And that's specifically what happened today as well. We didn't completely touch the 0.5 level, but we got pretty close to that 0.5 level, and we started wicking down a lot. And Bookmap also helped us with taking this trade as well, because typically even if we wick down, we can easily push back up. And a great example of this is right here. We see a wick down, similar to how we saw here, but we still continue to go up, while here we continue to go down. This is all due to Bookmap analysis, and let's take a look at Bookmap right now. Alright, so now that we're on Bookmap, shout out to Alex with Think with Bookmap once again. He has great resources. I highly recommend you to check his channel out, as they're giving a free Bookmap resource for individuals to use. So what we see on Bookmap is that we do have a large liquidity level here, but the wick which happened, that actually generated was this move. And before that, we didn't have this liquidity level. And since we did create this liquidity level, what that indicates to me is that price wants to continue moving down because sellers are placing orders in which they want to ensure that the price continues to go down, because each one of these levels can either act as a magnet or a barrier to move up. And in this case, these would be barriers, and let me explain to you why. As you see, starting over here, we saw this big move down, a retracement, and big move down again, and this would be where our wick candle is, right? When we saw this move down, what happened? We saw that liquidity was following us down, and typically when liquidity follows us down, that is an indication of continued bearish movement, and that is what we have been seeing. What else do we notice? We notice that these levels have been staying there. They're not moving down with the price, and that means that these typically act as magnets. And if you look before as well, the liquidity has stayed there. Even if it was pretty light, it stayed there. And when we came here, we took a dump. We didn't keep in these levels. We created more liquidity barriers above. And when we saw this, and when we understood that we had a V2 retracement play, this provided us with great confidence to take an entry on this position. On ES as well, we're looking for an area where we can take a trade and exit at bookmap level, right? So what do? We saw that our liquidity levels on bookmap were 5560, and that was our main liquidity level. Why? This liquidity level, although it is apparent, it isn't as significant due to the characteristics of how this liquidity was generated, and also the additional amount of numbers of actual orders placed there. At the bottom, we see around 400 to even 500 orders at 5560, and that's where we kept our bookmap liquidity. Additionally, through our charting, just like we did on NQ with our main liquidity levels and normal liquidity levels, our main liquidity levels were placed at around 5560 as well. So that was additional confidence that we want to sweep this to then move higher. But first we want to sweep this, and that's where our trade confidence came to play. So when we saw this wick down, we entered on that wick down around the close of the candle. We didn't perfectly enter it in the close because we entered approximately 20 to 30 seconds before close, but we saw the price action deem this trade as valid, so we got in and didn't waste any time. We placed stop loss above the wick because if price does go above the wick and the wick is likely here, you would likely break this level, and if we break this level, we could either go down, but seeing as there's much more liquidity above as well, we can continue going up, and that makes it invalidate as it's also a break of structure to the upside. So we placed our stop above this wick, and we didn't place a really locked TP because our TP on NQ is when our liquidity on ES gets taken, and our liquidity on ES got taken around here, and we exited around there because that's when the liquidity on ES was taken, and we reacted to that take and grab on liquidity as well. This presented us with a pretty decent trade today, and I'm not mad about this trade at all. I don't see much that can be improved on this trade instead of potentially reading the markets a bit better and using analysis more to my favor, but this trade was pretty good and I'm happy about it. Regarding the rest of the session in which we trade, which is 8:30 to 10:30, and we usually don't trade until after 8:40ish, 9ish. Today would be 9 because of high impact news. This is our only area that we can trade, and the only setup that presented ourselves during live action was this move. Over here, we saw large amounts of volatility going up and down, which is very choppy. The price action wasn't too favorable today, but we did happen to capitalize off of it with our one trade we took today. Additionally, this big move did happen, which did provide for a setup up here. Same thing with bookmap analysis, but that is outside of our trading number. This video is much shorter than the last video, and I do want to emphasize that, but I'm trying to keep these videos short and sweet to take you guys through the analysis which we do for every single trade which we take and show you the reasoning behind it instead of going off detail too much. Thank you so much for hearing about day 2 or episode 2, I can say, about our trade recap, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.